In this lesson, we will write an introductory paragraph to our speech. The purpose of an introductory paragraph is to give your readers some background information on your topic. You have been researching your topic and writing about it, so you see the importance of the topic. Your readers may not know anything about the topic and may or may not be interested. By giving your readers a little background information, you prepare them to listen to your speech. There are two parts to the introductory paragraph: the thesis statement and the lead. The thesis statement clearly states what your speech will be about. The lead hooks your readers, or in this case, your listeners. The lead captures their attention and makes them want to learn more. Let's work on the thesis statement first. I want to write a thesis statement that briefly and clearly tells the reader what my speech will be about. I don't want to tell my readers everything in this first paragraph, but I want them to know what's coming. I chose the topic Texas Longhorn cattle because I thought they were fascinating. I want my readers, or those who listen to my speech, to also think they're fascinating. I'm going to use this as my thesis statement. Texas Longhorn cattle are fascinating animals, and not just because of those long horns. Based on this thesis statement, my reader or listener would expect to learn why these animals are fascinating. Notice that I did not list the 3 topics of my body paragraphs. Some writing instructors tell you to include these in the thesis statement. Something like this: Texas Longhorn cattle are fascinating animals. They have unique horns, are easy to raise, and can be used as riding steer. Other writing instructors like to save these details for later, which is how we will write this speech. We'll give enough information in the thesis statement so the reader knows what is coming, but not so much that there's nothing left to wonder about. Now, we said there are 2 parts of the introductory paragraph. The thesis statement is usually the second part. The thesis statement usually comes at the end of the introductory paragraph. What comes first, you ask? The lead. Before I give my thesis statement, I will use a strong lead to capture the attention of my audience. You may have heard about using a hook to catch the attention of the audience. This is the same idea. There are many types of leads to try. Here is a list with a short explanation: an amazing or unusual fact, a descriptive segment, a quote, a question, a bold opinion, a statistic, onomatopoeia, anecdote. You may want to pause the video so you can look at these in more detail. We're going to look at just 3 examples of leads. We're going to look at an amazing or unusual fact, a descriptive segment, and an anecdote. Here's an amazing or unusual fact. Texas Longhorn cattle evolved from descendants of cattle originally brought from Spain in the late 1400s and early 1500s. They thrived for years because they were hardy animals, yet in the 1920s they almost went extinct. If it wasn't for a few Texas ranchers who were determined to save them, they might have gone the way of the dinosaurs. Texas Longhorn cattle are fascinating animals, and not just because of those extra long horns. Notice that my thesis statement is at the end of that paragraph. When you write a descriptive segment as a lead, you're describing a setting, a person, or an object. You might describe a beautiful sunrise, a graceful marathon runner, or a delicious hamburger. In this case, we're looking at a field. The field looks typically Texan. The tangled mesquite trees spread their branches, creating a straggly canopy of shade. The bluebonnets wave in the warm spring sunshine. And A half-dozen majestic cattle with immense horns nibble at the grass. Texas Longhorn cattle are fascinating animals, and not just because of those extra long horns. Notice that my thesis statement is located at the end of the introductory paragraph, just like it was in the first example. An anecdote is a short little personal story. So here's the one I wrote for this introductory paragraph. My grandmother once told me to stop running in the house because I was like a bull in a china shop. She explained that there are little shops that sell very delicate items like china cups and dishes. Obviously, a bull let loose in a china shop would cause real trouble. I wonder what Nana would think about letting a Texas Longhorn loose in a china shop. Texas Longhorn cattle are fascinating animals, and not just because of those extra long horns. As you can see, my thesis statement is located at the end of this introductory paragraph, just as it was in the other examples. Let's review. In this lesson, we discussed the purpose of the introductory paragraph, which is to give your reader a little background information. We described the two parts of the introductory paragraph, the thesis statement and the lead. We listed a variety of leads and looked at examples of all three types of leads.